Well, the Biden administration is pushing electric vehicles on you, and they're doing it for Black people. Or so they say. They are literally saying this. The EPA made an announcement about major emissions limits, which push car makers to make more EVs, even if they don't want to, which they don't. And the Biden administration saying this is all being done in the name of racial justice. Here yesterday, the EPA made this announcement in Washington, and they had an NAACP and environmental justice organizer named Asada Rashidi. She kicked off this announcement and made it very clear that this is all about the health of Black and brown people.
Today marks a positive step forward in protecting communities like mine and paving the way for a healthier and sustainable future where Black and brown families can thrive. And at this time, I am honored to have the opportunity to introduce Michael S. Regan, the 16th Administrator of the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the first Black man and the second person of color to ever lead the EPA.
All right, this was an exciting event, you can tell.
Wow.
Now, they are they're race baiting you into accepting EVs. And the implication is if you don't accept EVs, you don't care about communities of color. What she says then is that because she comes from Newark, and Newark is a polluted crap hole. It is. We used to live in Essex County. Her family suffered from ill health, which I don't doubt. Poor communities do, in fact, suffer more ill health, and racial minorities are more likely to live in those communities. But the EPA is then making the leap that if there were more electric vehicles in her Newark neighborhood, her family would have better health. Not accounting for, what food is in lower income communities, what education is there, right? Nothing else matters. It's just that her brothers must have asthma because they live near an airport.
The arsenic and lead that's in Essex County water.
Oh my God, the water there
water
absolutely is the worst in the country.
Yeah, Essex County has the worst water source. But she's concerned about electric vehicles.
Right. And in fact, officials in Essex County went to jail for falsifying the chemicals in the water. So, okay, none of that is true, right? Just they're using her to pretend they can solve one thing and make Newark a better place to live. Except Newark is run on gas-powered plants, so more EVs in that neighborhood would be plugged into this gas-powered plant, which would not reduce air pollution. It would increase it, in fact. And economists know that you can improve the health and environment of low-income groups by increasing their overall wealth, by increasing GDP overall, and quality of life. In fact, you can't just pick one thing and try to improve it. You have to focus on overall improvement of life. So this is not how you stand up for racism, just choosing one thing. Here's Bjorn Lomborg's book saying, on the most basic level, a nation with higher GDP per person is likely to have citizens who live longer. People and the state can afford better health care, nutrition, and safety, and have a host of other advantages that reduce death risks. It's not just because there are gas-powered cars. So high GDP per person correlates to higher education rates and lower child mortality because families and communities can afford better education and better health care to prevent and treat disease. So they're baiting us. They're race baiting us with this EV announcement. And if being against an EV makes you a racist, okay, I don't know if you want to accept that or not, but let's take a look at what they're trying to do. I mean, just imagine the hardworking people of Newark who then have their economy screech to a halt because they can't make deliveries. They can't take a job call. They can't get deliveries of the things that they need to run their business. That's racist, I think, if you really want to break it down, but okay. And Newark won't be getting a growing economy because climate activists shut down an additional power plant. So we don't really care if their economy grows at all. Now, affordable energy, of course, raises the quality of life, period. And yet the EPA is moving forward with this, trying to just screech the economy to a halt with electric vehicles. Here are the new emission standards that will inevitably make it harder to buy a gas-powered car in the not too distant future. They're calling it the strongest ever pollution standards, and many are calling it a cover to eliminate gas-powered cars. And in fact, it limits the amount of carbon that each car can have per mile by 2027. And since gas-powered cars just can't meet those standards yet, it would mean that car companies then have to make more EVs to average it out. Here's what the Wall Street Journal said, saying that, for instance, A gas-powered pickup emits 430 grams of carbon per mile, but under this rule, trucks will have to average 184 grams per mile in 2027, and then it reduces from there. So then the companies will effectively have to produce 1 to 2 electric trucks for every gas-powered one in 2027. The ratio will be closer to 4 to 1 in 2032. They're calling this preserving of consumer choice. But how can it be when the only choice will be electric? Except they can make these 4 to 1 EVs to gas powered cars. That doesn't mean people will buy them. We see right now people are just not. In fact, the Journal says that EVs made up less than 8% of new car sales last year, half of which, so a full 4%, was Tesla. And Tesla is a vanity purchase. People are not necessarily buying it because they love EVs. And that's what a group of car dealers told the Biden administration last November when they said, please stop the EV mandates. We cannot sell them. Here is a video we showed you last year of Tom Maioli from Celebrity Motor Car, one of the dealers who signed this letter, explaining just how they're sitting on the lots to CNBC.
And this is basically the voice of the consumer. This is not the dealer. This is the voice of the consumer. And what's happening is the manufacturer is being forced to produce these EVs. They're shipping them to the dealerships and they're backing up on the lots. You know, our average day supply pre-COVID was 60 to 90 days supply of inventory. During COVID, it was less than 30 because of the supply chain issues. We're now backed up to 12 months with EVs. Consumers don't want them. They're not buying them. We have up to $15,000 in rebates from the manufacturer and $7,500 tax credits. We're talking $22,500.
That's crazy. And right, we heard all about this during COVID, how, oh my gosh, car prices, used cars, there was such a demand for cars. We need these cars. Everyone wants a car. And now we have so many of them. And no one wants them.
Right.
It should be a wake-up call for people. We saw this, of course, in Canada, where Pierre Poilievre is saying on the conservative side, no, we're seeing this fleet of electric vans and emergency vehicles and so forth that you're trying to turn into, and then a deep freeze occurs and they don't work.
Yeah.
Or the battery life is severely constrained by cold weather. Yeah. Right? The technology is not there. And then, of course, the infrastructure and the grid technology is all a sham to begin with.
Right. And it very much matters how they're charged. And we don't have clean energy right now because the United States doesn't give that much of a care about nuclear energy, which could, in fact, power these cars cleanly, but they choose not to. House Speaker Mike Johnson called this new EPA rule misguided. He said this is another radical anti-energy crusade that will limit consumer choices, raise costs on American families, and devastate auto manufacturers. More regulation and higher costs are the opposite of what our country needs to do. And so he's urging the Biden administration to reverse course immediately. And, you know, I know that whatever you're going to cast your vote for this election season is probably not electric vehicles or not, but it does make this an election year issue because undoubtedly President Trump will repeal these rules. President Biden will leave them in place. So let us know how much this weighs into your choices this year, how much you care about this, what you think, because this is we'll see.
Well, yeah, and President Trump the other day, of course, in his bloodbath comments talking about the American auto industry and how important it is for us to build up the American auto industry and get back to a level of prominence again instead of relying on Chinese and flooding through Mexico and all of this stuff. So, President Trump's already vowed to roll back a huge percentage of these green initiatives, which is just a big, massive boondoggle for Wall Street. It has nothing to do with actually helping America in any capacity.
Clearly not.
So anyway, let us know your thoughts on that. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. You know, YouTube thinks that you'll actually like this next video right here. It's personalized based on your own viewing habits. So if you watch the video, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about it. And we will see you next time, everyone.